Undertone and Dolly than the major movies. So let's get into it. Let's talk about Undertone, the podcast horror. Does anybody listen to horror podcasts, and not horror movie podcasts, but narrative horror podcasts?
Every single day.
Okay.
I love audio drama, horror podcasts. Land, stuff like that.
Have you heard of the Black Tapes?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've listened to that too.
Okay, this movie reminded me, it was making me think of the Black Tapes and the unsound. Yeah, yep. All right, go in.
I have like 200 under my belt, to be honest. Like that, that's all I listen to is horror stuff. So
I love that. I listen to all of your guys' shows when I can. So okay,
we loved their kind of behind the scenes moments in Undertone when she would be talking to her partner and they're like, okay, get into character.
I know, we say that to each other now.
We're now like, we say that.
Get into character.
I was thinking as I'm watching that, I was like, I don't get into character
right
for the show, but to me, I was like, oh, they're clearly playing, because she was playing that skeptic. So I think she was hyping up that skeptic, even though she was a skeptic. And I was surprised. I think what I really, really enjoyed about this movie is there's a whole like cast physically of 2 people.
Yeah.
But we do have some voices that makes it feel a little bit bigger. But I was impressed that basically one person carries this movie from beginning to end. And it was a pretty impressive performance. I don't know that I've seen her in anything else.
I don't think so either. One person, one location, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was pretty impressive, yeah.
Yeah, the sound in the theater, I think, made it worth seeing in the theater. Like, the sound design overall was so good. I was like, I'm actually really glad that I made the trip out to see it. It was worth it. I loved the creeping dread, the atmosphere. Of course, like, I don't think the premise itself is, like, completely revolutionary, but I still really liked it a lot.
I agree, Kelsi. It did amp up the atmosphere a lot with like the camera movements moving behind her, and you keep searching in the background behind her to see what's there. There hardly ever is anything there, and you're like, "What is that? Is that something? No, that's a fleck of dust." And
we were trained by Paranormal Activity to look for those things.
Yes.
I kind of think that's the beauty of this movie is you're so focused on listening and searching that when something does happen, it really affects you more than just say like a slasher or something like that. Your focus is so much on the movie that it freaked me out when I was watching it. So I loved it for that.
It gave me goosebumps. Like I don't know if it's because I listen to ASMR, right? So like the sound design it's so good that's why I was getting goosebumps. I don't know, because you can get goosebumps by listening to ASMR and like tingles they call it. But anyway, I was like, is this like an ASMR experience or am I just freaked out? I don't know. I really can't tell you, but it was kind of creepy.
No, I definitely thought they leaned into that with like, hey, we are a podcast based movie. So they leaned into like the sounds of everything that was happening, and I appreciated that about it. And actually, I mentioned he had that Paranormal Activity kind of setup of like, you see that deep shadow is something about to move. He's doing the upcoming Paranormal Activity movie.
Yeah.
So he is slated to be the director of whatever paranormal. It can only be better than the last 4 in the franchise. So
okay. So this one's a tough one for me. I intentionally, anytime an indie film goes to the theaters, I make sure that I fork out my money because indie film is definitely something that I love to support. And this is going to sound like I'm a massive supporter of this film, but I thought the sound design was amazing. I thought how they reenacted the podcast was awesome. I thought the single location and the lead actress were tremendous in this film. Unfortunately, I could not have been more bored during this film. I dozed off twice during the Undertone, and even the sound design could not save me from this film. I think my favorite part of that movie, unfortunately, was when the end credits rolled and I was able to leave. So, look, But I will say this, indie film will continue to get my money because they deserve all the support and all the flowers. But Undertone just did not hit for me.
So I'm going to agree with you on a couple points. I actually thought the first half hour was rough. The first half hour was pretty basic. It was a lot of setup. I wasn't really intrigued yet. It wasn't hooking me. I was pretty scared throughout the rest of the film, though. I thought after that, it really picked up. The ending, I had more goosebumps than I have had at a movie in quite a while. I couldn't remember the last time I was that like, man, I don't know how to explain it.
Oh yeah, no,
okay, I can't tell the flashing behind me from the TV, but there's also a ton of lightning. Sorry, I'm distracted. I have a storm coming in, but it really freaked me out a little bit. My issue is the ending.
Yeah,
the very ending pissed me off. The very ending was enough for me to say, I'm not going to tell you how it ends, but the very ending was enough for me to say, I don't know that I need to watch that ever again.
I don't think the creators told us how it ends either.
Precisely. My biggest issue with it is some kind of epilogue. It doesn't have to be a happy ending, but I feel like people really like to go for the Hitchcock endings where they shock you. But Hitchcock still concluded his story. He still ended it. So even, I always think of the classic Hitchcock ending is Vertigo, where she jumps out of the tower again and you realize, but that was the end of the story. We got all the answers we needed. This one, I was just like, who's dead? Who's alive? Nobody knows. I don't think they do. That's it. And that is my biggest frustration with this film. That's
why I loved it for that reason. I loved it. I love being able to think about it after watching it again, seeing if certain things were there or not, and then you can just figure it out yourself. Like Skinamarink, I love Skinamarink too. So
okay,
I love Skinamarink fans here too. Yeah, definitely. I agree with you there. I feel like my criticisms of the film. I love the film. I love what they're doing. I love that like we got an indie film and with a major release, all that sort of stuff. I feel like it fell onto certain very basic horror tropes a little too much, and that actually made it not scary for me. I don't know what to really talk about without revealing any spoilers, but the sort of that end scene when it's ramping up and the it's like the little kid crayon drawings. I don't know if I'm
the frantic.
I don't want to mention.
Yeah.
Just the way that the other characters in the movie move, I think was a good attempt, but it's something that was expected, especially because they showed a lot of the scares in the trailer, which is a little unfortunate. And I guess if you didn't see the trailer, then that wouldn't really affect you. But you're almost looking for it especially if you're a horror fan who kind of knows what's going to happen, then you're kind of already looking for it, and then it lessens the effect a little bit. I think that the movie could have had a really creepy ending if it leaned into almost has anyone seen the movie Presence?
Yes, Presence.
If it did that sort of a sort of a reveal like that, I think it could have worked really well for this movie. But yeah, in this case, I think the open-ended sort of ending or conclusion didn't quite land the punch. So I agree with those who were kind of talking about that.
However, seeing it in a full theater.
We saw it in Dolby too.
We saw it in Dolby, and I think the majority of the audience around us were a bit younger. So I think younger horror viewers were very immersed and sucked into it. And I was kind of watching vicariously through them to see when they would jump or when they tensed up or seemed freaked out. And I think it seemed very effective for perhaps newer horror fans or younger horror fans. And so I don't want to discredit that because a lot of the audience did seem to be very, they bought into it and they were very immersed with this. And it wasn't as effective for me as something like Skinamarink, Dylan. I agree. I love Skinamarink. But I think it has something there. It just perhaps
it was really close. It was really close. The other movie that comes to mind that basically did like atmosphere building masterfully is the Japanese movie Pulse or Kairo. And there's actually, I think, some scenes that have been borrowed from Pulse in a lot of movies that are like this, where it's sort of like almost like a liminal space, an empty room, and you see a shadow on the wall or something like that, or you see like a dark corner. And I think a lot of movies try to do the thing that Kairo or Pulse tried to do, but they need. It's like, I don't know what it is. It's like the atmosphere is not quite there to really like sell it. But I loved it overall, but it wasn't super effective, and I think that it like fell into some kind of basic horror tropes for me. So
I totally agree about copying tropes. I mean, I just watched. It's kind of crazy because this is a movie from 2020, but I watched it last year, The Dark and the Wicked. It reminded me so much of that movie because, like, I love that. I liked that movie a lot, but I think I'm going to end up giving them both the same kind of score or rating, both of them around like 4, I think, because I enjoyed it, but like, again, Undertone felt very much like The Dark and the Wicked. Like, it had done a lot of the same things, except better sound design. A lot, like, actually less happened than in The Dark and the Wicked, actually, but until the end. But yeah,
Dark and the Wicked is when she's chopping carrots and cuts her fingers off, right?
That part's cool, but I meant like the dying family member.
In my brain.
That part was great. Like, it could, like, a lot more happens with The Dark and the Wicked. I think you get a lot more payoff. But in terms of a family member dying, kind of like settling on a shot of the dying family member for a long period of time, just that kept reminding me of that other movie. I was like, yeah, I get it. They're dying. It's scary, and they're gonna make it even scarier by like making this whole extra element to it.
I genuinely like horror movies that leave an open ending where it's at the perception of the viewer. Undertone, I agree. Someone said earlier that, the ending was what it was, and I don't know if I need to watch again. I'm still looking for that horror movie like the ending from The Thing, where people are still talking and debating the ending of The Thing 40 years later. Like, when you have that kind of impact in an ending that's open-ended, left open for discussion, I'm all for it. I'm down for those kind of movies. But yeah, the Undertone just, I don't know why. It just left me flat with that ending. And like, I think, again, the tropes, how it opened. But again, if they could do something like that with that sound design like they did, that was, I think, the massive win for that film. I thought that was impressive what they did with that. Definitely added to the tone and the atmosphere. But yeah, that ending left me very empty.
Did anyone else think of, like, especially for 90s people, white noise or frequency or anything like that? I couldn't help but think about those movies when I was watching Undertone.
Okay.
A little bit. I just want to say I loved Undertone. I got chills in it. It was probably the best theater experience I've had in a long time. At one point, I thought someone was standing next to me. Ooh. I even looked to my right because of the sound, the way the sound was bouncing around the theater. And I think the sound design, what they've done really clever here is what you don't see is often scariest. I'm getting chills right now just trying to remember it.
Yes.
That one scene when the screen goes black and all you can hear is the scariest sound.
Which time?
I don't know. Toward the end, there's one long moment.
Yes.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yes.
And my God, that really got me. And in the moment, I thought, this is fucking awesome. And I just had a great time with it. And I was okay with the open ending. I don't know. I loved it. What's that?
Which theater chain do you go to?
Which theater chain, Aaron?
AMC.
Oh, okay.
I'm an AMC.
AMC people.
Why would you go?
A-list, man. Yeah, A-list, man. A-list is fantastic.
Wait, is that why we're on the panel?
You have to be an A-lister. Yeah, it's a perk. Okay, I'm actually
have an AMC by me.
AMC is the only thing I have near me other than a small mom and pop theater that doesn't play R-rated movies.
Wait, Aleece and Tony, what theater do you go to? Is it AMC?
AMC, yeah. We're a little bit spoiled. We're in Southern California, close to Los Angeles, so we have like the pick of the litter. We can go to like 10 different.
But the one in our town doesn't have the best AMC, and so I'm wondering if maybe you had an AMC that actually had like a more.
The
I don't know.
recliners.
It was fantastic. That's all.
Okay.
Gotta have the recliner.
Yeah.
And I
Heated
think
seats.
it's going to. I'm going to say one more thing. I think it's going to lose quality when we watch it at home, even with our
Yes.
surround sound.
Yeah.
I was actually
Absolutely.
curious, like what the experience would be like if you're watching Undertone late at night with the lights off and you're wearing headphones. Like, you
Yeah,
know,
that's
sometimes
how- yeah.
headphones will have
Like a
have
podcast. Yeah.
interesting effect. Yeah. And you're podcasting at 3 a.m. like in Undertone. That was the one thing that got me. I was like, wow, she's really dedicated to this whole spooky vibe.
She's committed.
Yeah, 3 a.m. podcasting.
I said no spoilers, but I do want to dive into potential spoiler conversation. Actually, full spoiler. So I'm going to put this up. If you want to dip out now for a couple minutes while we discuss the very ending, who I know not everybody saw this, right? So we'll try to leave it still a little bit vague, but I want some answers. Okay.
You can't spoil this. I don't think you can spoil the ending.
I don't think you can either because it doesn't really
It's
end.
about the movie and everything up to the ending. That so I think you're okay.
So the demon wanted babies.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So why does the demon possess the mom and not the daughter who is pregnant to get the baby?
To push her down the
think-
stairs.
I think the mom's.
I mean, that's what I think happened. I mean, that's what I think happened.
It was so ambiguous at the end that I'm just like, I want to know why these, and maybe a rewatch will show it to me, but I'm like, what is this connection? Because in the movie, she's only like 6 weeks pregnant. Is that what she says? So like, it's not even a baby yet. And this thing
And
is
all
used
the
to
other
having...
examples were like 5 months people. Like
Yes.
people who had their babies killed or they killed themselves. It was about 5 months. So I don't know where the connection is there. I think that's why she couldn't do it herself. That's why I think the mom got possessed and was like, yo, you going down the stairs. I mean, that's just, I think that.
Yeah.
You're
It kind of
going
like the
down.
daughter was possessed, though. She did seem like she had a bit of like not
Yeah.
herselfness going on.
That's true.
Yeah, I think the mom wasn't really real, and I think the daughter was the one being possessed the whole time. That's why she's
Oh.
drawing with the crayons and stuff. In one of
Right.
the shots, you see what looks like an urn in the darkness. I think she's having a psychotic break. I think that's the real
Oh.
thing. Yeah.
Okay.
I
we-
did notice
dead
that
the whole
urn. I
time.
noticed that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So now I
think
want
the
to...
mom's been dead the whole time.
Dylan just made me want to go back and watch this movie. A movie that I said...
Dude, that's what I'm saying.
movie that I said
Oh
I
my
didn't want to
God,
see
yes.
again. Now I do. I want to pick that up.
It'll be
Wait, so-
great at home with headphones. I had
yeah.
trouble with the ending, but I really enjoyed it. And like Aaron said, or like a bunch of people said, I mean, it did. I got goosebumps. I thought they did a really good job. You can do a lot with good sound, and they really put like a lot of thought into it. And I just felt like they did, like all of the kind of things we're talking about. Like, was it the mom? I don't think they knew. I think they just, I don't even think it's necessarily the filmmaker's fault. I think they had a budget and they made a really good film and got to the end and they're like, it reminds me of Kevin Smith's Red State a little bit, where it's like,
It's good.
like, oh my God, but you can't do the ending because the point of the movie is that the budget is small. So everything, there's the moment where you think you're going to see something and then it's like, well, no, you're not going to see that. So, but at home on headphones in the dark. Yeah.
I can't wait
Yeah.
to show it to my low tolerance horror siblings. They like horror, but they don't like it like I do. So
I got one more for you. Put on VR glasses too.
Ooh.
VR glasses, headphones, and then watch it. See what happens.
I feel like I'd be turning my head with that camera. I'd be
yeah.
I have one more question about what you guys think about the ending. Do we think that the people in the tapes were somehow connected in some weird time frame with the podcast? I can't remember her name, the main character.
Yeah, because they mentioned that they live in like her same town, and that they kind of just kind of dropped that a little bit.
Yeah, and she's like, "What street do you live on?" And it seemed like it could have been near or around where she lived. Was there some sort of connection in a weird time jump sort of way with our lead podcaster and the people in the tapes?
There had to be. I mean,
I was
the
thinking that.
coincidence of the town, there had to be, but they didn't really they put that there and it dangles. And that's one of the things where I love ambiguity in horror, but there's a certain ambiguity where I'm like, you didn't think that through, or you didn't have the whatever to actually
They did have the answer.
Yeah, and I just kind of felt like that, because I mean, how could it not? It would have to.
Well, see, that's why I mentioned the presents thing, and this might be I don't know.
We won't spoil presents.
Won't spoil presents.
It's got spoilers up there. So.
There's a thing that's just about having a connect, that ghost presence is connected to her in a way that is almost like warning her.
Yeah, and time is just a construct, and
so I don't know. I thought that could have been an interesting angle with how it was building up, but they just kind of dropped it.
It makes me wonder, after Dylan said the mother was probably already dead, it makes me wonder if those voices are demonic manipulation targeting her specifically to make her think that it's local and make her think that she can't escape it. So, and that's one of those that we'll never know.
Yeah.
We'll never know.
I think I've seen it in
Sorry.
Go ahead, Kelsi.
I was just gonna say, what are the odds that the Baba Black, whatever the heck, the song that she was singing to her mom is the one later on the recording? It's the more I think about it, maybe she was dead the whole time. I was just there was a drawing already by the mom's side table. That's why I was like, oh, the mom's definitely the possessed one at the end. But maybe it was never her. Maybe she was dead the whole time. So that blew my mind. That's a good observation.
Paul made another good catch.
Yeah.
The other podcaster couldn't hear over the mic what she was hearing. So
right. And that's what I thought he was gaslighting her the whole time. He's like, do you hear it? Don't you hear it? And she's like, no.
Yeah, so did I.
All right. Okay, so I'll take the spoilers off, but I do recommend, even though I said the ending was very frustrating for me and I wasn't loving it, I do think everybody should see this movie at least once, and definitely try to go see it while it's in theaters. It was one of the scariest experiences I have had in the theater in a while. It definitely had me going.